So many things I want to talk about, but I just want to talk about God Sealing Trunks since I was just thinking about it, and how weird it is that it works a little bit different than many other free play counterplays that require a unison to play it. This card is too strong for what it does. Um, it definitely should have been a auto card where you play it right, where you have to play it right. You play it, counter play window, and then once it hits the field, then the auto kicks in. Then the auto will allow you to bounce a battle card back to the owner's hand. That's the way it should have been. It makes it, balanced. It makes it where it matches all the other free play counter plays, because of, they function relatively the same way. They get to play. Now, granted, this most of those free play counter plays tend to be like 3 drops. This is a 5 drop, so it makes you wonder why the exception. So it makes it obvious that they were trying to make this one way better than all the other ones. Because why is it a five cost, right? It's a 5 drop. Granted, you can say Charismatic Feast is a 5, yes. But think about, how popular Charismatic Frieza and Godzilla Trunks is compared to the other ones. The other ones do get used here and there, but not as much as Trunks and Frieza. Which gives you the idea that, like, clearly they were chosen to be the favorites by Bandai themselves. The fact that they chose to make them 5 drops, instead of 3 drops like all the other ones. So it makes sense that these two are relatively strong for what they do, which is why they have their cost. Because when you think of a 5 drop, you think of it being strong, right? You think of it as, well, it costs 5, so it should be strong, right? It's just like the Golden Avenger Ape. He's a 5 drop, and he's a counterplay, counter, and counter attack, if I'm right. But anyway, the main thing is we know he's a counter, which is a pretty big deal. So that's a 5 drop. But there's a strategy to play it for free, right? Then there's, then you got Godzilla Trunks, right? The fact that it's a 5 drop. So clearly they want to justify its power by making it a 5 drop, but no one ever pays 5 for it. Everybody plays it for free. So the fact that it's free, like, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it cost 5, right? Like, if you had to pay the full cost, or its condition is you reduce the cost of this card by 2 if you have a unison with 2 more markers in play. That way it costs 3 to play, right? So that way it'll feel like a 3 drop, and yeah, you can keep it with its power, the way it works, right? You don't have to change it much, but at least it puts it in a scenario where your opponent has to, make sure they have energy for it. If they don't have the energy for it, they can't have its power, right? It's too strong for what it does. It's not like most of the other cards where, like, it might do minus 15k or put the battle card in rest mode, that kind of stuff, or just KO battle card. But if the battle card has barrier, then it can't be KO, so it is able to avoid that. Or if it has indestructible, or if it just has an effect that says it just can't be removed from the battle area by a skill, so it getting KO'd wouldn't work, type of thing, right? So the thing is it's hard all these other free counter plays, you as a player, right? You as the opponent that is being hit by these cards have have the potential to kind of counter the card by playing a certain way, playing certain cards, right? Granted, you can say, oh, play battle cards that have deflect, and you never have to worry about Godzilla Trunks. It's like, that is true, but not every card that you want to play or every card worth playing has deflect. Some cards don't have deflect, like Super Saiyan for Vegeta, something Super Warrior or something like that. The one that ramps, that doesn't have deflect. I wish it did. That has gotten God sealed twice, before when I played it, so not a fan of that happening. Ironically, speaking of it, getting hit by gas stealing trunks, was the irony that like 2 weeks ago at locals, that's what happened. No, actually it was more than that. It was like 4 weeks ago, basically over a month ago, on my first local of 2022, round 3, game 2 would have won if it wasn't for the fact that I didn't realize he played a unison. I knew he had gas stealing trunks in there, but I forgot he played a unison because he originally had the black skillet unit, the black Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. Saiyan Scion unison in play, and he's using it to power up his skillless battle cards. But I didn't realize he swapped that out. So since I overlooked that detail that he swapped it out for his Boo unison, which is a good card, obviously I have it now, but it was the fact that I've overlooked the fact that he did. So if I noticed that he did, and I noticed at the last minute when I played it, and I'm like, ah, shit, you have a blue unison. And then I was like, you have any response? He's like, yep. And then he had gas stealing trunks. Because I already knew he had it in his hand because he bounced it to his hand from his energy area with his leader's effect. So I knew he had the gas stealing trunks. What he didn't have was a blue unison until that moment where, he did. And I overlooked and forgot that he played the blue unison, which means his gas stealing trunks is live, because it wasn't live for a couple turns. So I didn't pay too much, I didn't worry about it because he didn't have a blue unison. But then he did. And then it was a problem because he was able to play for free. And that cost me the match right there and then, because I really needed that ramp for my win con. So I would have won the next turn, guaranteed, if it wasn't for the gas stealing trunks being played for free. If he had to pay energy, he wouldn't be able to, because he tapped out in order to play his blue unison and some other cards. I mean, he had one energy up because of his blue unison, but that's not enough to play, a 5-drop gas stealing trunks, right? The fact that you could play for free was a big deal. And like I said, it's it could be a problem. The main thing is that it's free and it's good. Like, it's really good at what it does. Like, it's a very powerful. Like, it's literally a negate, like a counter. Like, when you think of the concept of a counter play, gas stealing trunks is the staple. He's the definition of that. Like, your opponent tries to play something, you're like, nope, I say no, right? So yeah, that's a thing. But just had some thoughts about the gas stealing trunks, about like, it would be nice if they errated it just to make it function a little bit like the other cards, especially like function like what's his name, Charismatic Villain Frieza, where it's an auto, right? And by it being an auto, it does help you get around stuff that has deflect. But again, you're bouncing, you're not negating. Because the thing about this card, part of why I'm talking about it, is the fact that it acts like a counter in the way it's used. When you use it, it feels like a counter, because I could be trying to play like a topo or something. I get to negate an attack, good, but I don't get the auto, right? I don't get the floodgate ability. So the fact that you can stop the floodgate ability of a battle card negate just because of the fact that it doesn't hit the field, so it doesn't get the effect, creates a problem, right? In that regards, this should be just a balance, right? It should be a nice little a way of making sure that yes, you play your battle card, yes, you got your battle card's effect, but you didn't get to keep the battle card, so you're not going to swing with it. So it has a free defensive capabilities as opposed to basically a win button type of effect, or a counter effect. Like, oh, you played your win con, it doesn't have deflect. All right, I'll play this and stop you from winning this turn with your win con, and on my turn I'll win on the clapback. Like, that shouldn't be a turning the tides type of feel when the card's being played, where you try to play something and your opponent just like, got steal. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that it's too strong for what it is, and it's only an SR. It's not even an SCR. Like imagine, like this would make sense for it to be like an ultimate, right? A 5-drop ultimate, you could play for free if you have a unison, blah blah. Like this definitely should have had the ultimate tag because it's worthy of it. That's what I'm saying. It's so good, it's worthy of being an SCR. But oh well, I don't make the game. I just master it and learn how to play through the game, you know, through the aspects of the game. It's just that I noticed there's like anytime somebody has God Sealing Trunks, they could be not that good at the game. They could be mid or meh at the game, but God Sealing Trunks makes them look pro, makes them look, you know, highly experienced and skilled, because they could literally just stop a good play. It's like, oh, you tap 6 for something? Okay, I'm gonna God Seal that. They don't know what I'm planning to do at 6-drop. They just know it's a 6-drop. Right? They don't know what my game plan is, but they don't need to, right? Because they have God Sealing Trunks free of charge. I rank ahead of scenario where somebody God Sealed, right? I think God Seal has that effect, right? Skills of cards for the turn here. Counterplay skills for this. Yeah, somebody God Sealed. No, it wasn't God Seal. It was something else. It wasn't God Seal. It was a yellow counterplay unison, you know, battle card. It was the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta blocker 3-drop, where it basically crusher balls. Anyway, so he played that, and then he tried to play something else. Was it Swift Retaliation Cooler he tried to play? I think he did. I think he tried to counter, but it's like, right? No, because this prevents you from playing other counterplays. So I think that's what it was. He was trying to play some other counterplay. The point is that it's like, you know, he already played a counterplay and it doesn't let him play no more counterplay. So, you know, that's an important detail. But he tried to. But I had to point out, like, oh, I don't think you can, because I think your card prevents you from playing another counterplay. So I was right, of course, because reading is fundamental. And I noticed most of my opponents don't seem to read their cards. And sometimes, I'm going on to a rant. I also hate the fact that some people try to tell you, because they try to fast play, so they try to tell you what their card technically does, or they'll try to compare it to another card, hoping that you'll understand how their card works, because, you know, the comparison. But there's no guarantee that I know what other card they're referring to. So saying the name of another card that you're not actually playing right here, right now, and you're playing a different card that I haven't seen before, or I have seen but I don't know its effect, and then when I ask, okay, what does the card do, I'm asking you to read out the effect. You know, read out the effect that matters on the card. If you don't want to read the whole effect, that's fine. Read half of it, or at least let me look at it, because the thing is that I'm a fast reader. Like, I could speed read. I could look at a card and see certain key words and be able to understand, okay, this is what it does. Because I do that a lot. When I look at my opponent's board, when I'm playing with them, I look for key words. I look for blocker, dual attack, barrier, you know, things like that, right? Double strike. I look for those types of things real quick. I don't need to know the full effect of a card. I don't need to know if it has limits or restrictions or it has to meet certain requirements. I don't look for those details. Those are extra details, obviously, that I should know, but it's not top priority. I need to know if they have a blocker. There's a couple times where I would look at my opponent's board and be like, okay, I'm looking for blockers. Okay, that just has barrier. All right, cool. As long as it's not blocker, I don't care. And then I just proceed to go for game, right? That's all I'm looking for is blockers, anything that has double strike or dual attack, because, you know, those are going to be a problem defensively, right? I'm going to have to deal with my opponent swinging more than once, right? I'm going to have to deal with my opponent being able to do 2 damage per attack. So it's very important for me to look at those keywords. But that's just going into a different conversation, right? This is about him, God Sealing Trunks. Good card. I like the card, not against it. I personally don't play counterplays like that, but it's the fact that I just see this, like, this is one of those cards. It's like, it's too good for what it is. It's definitely the type of effect you expect to see on like Ultimate or something like an SCR, right? On something of a higher caliber. The fact that this is meant to be a free play counterplay, it should be a little bit more watered down, a little bit more balanced. The fact that he's a 5-drop, this should only work on 5 drops or less, right? Like a battle card with 5 costs or less, you can play this for free and, you know, counterplay it, right? But it's just ironic that this doesn't have that criteria. You can hit anything with this. You can hit a 10 drop, a 12 drop. So anything that doesn't have deflect, that costs a lot, can be hit by this card for free. So that's very OP, very strong. I'm not against the power. I love powerful cards. I'm just pointing out that it is very powerful. And, you know, if we're supposed to try to have a certain balance in the game, this is a thing. Because one of the things I notice is that when I play against certain colored decks, I don't worry too much. I play against red, I don't worry about somebody playing, you know, counter playing for free. You know, when I play against yellow, I don't worry about that either. But when I play against blue and green, especially blue, I was like, God damn it, my opponent has a blue unison. God stealing trucks is around here somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I shouldn't have that type of mindset where it's like, damn, that card is around here somewhere. You know, like, it's gonna be hard for me to play the game if I know that that card exists, right? If I know that card could be a possibility. And that's the thing, this card's too strong. So it'll be, the problem is that it's hard to play around the card. I would have to counter it. And counters aren't cheap, right? I would have to play yellow to play a cheap counter, which is a retaliation cooler. If I'm going to play blue, I gotta play what's his name, the Golden Avenger Ape. I have to play that, and that's 5 energy for me to stop something my opponent played for free. I mean, think about how bullshit that is. And the problem is that I have to play something first worthy of getting Godsteel and then try to counterplay it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't do that. Just like I can't Godsteel a Godsteel, right? You know what I mean? You can't Godsteel. Let me think. Yeah, well, technically I should be able to. Yeah, I should be able to Godsteel a Godsteel, but yeah, you should be able to Godsteel. But anyway, that's even ridiculous. The way you counter a Godsteel is with a Godsteel, right? That'd be ridiculous. But just think about the fact that it's like it plays a lot like a counter, right? It doesn't play like, hey, I played this, and because I played this, there's an effect, and the effect plays out like this, and this is the effect that we're going to try to resolve, right? Bouncing your battle card to your hand type thing. That's why it's like he should be redded so that way his bouncing effect is an auto. But anyway, I'm gonna get off of the Godsteel and Trunks rant. Just my thoughts, just pointing out some what I noticed. I don't care if it stays in the game or not, just pointing out what I think about the card. And that's the end of the video.